One word. Komugi. So this episode, if you look a little bit closely, there's definitely a lot more depth to it than meets the eye. And just overall, if you look under the surface, it definitely felt like a very defining moment for not only just Welfin, but also the character Meruem. Definitely just a lot of character development and a lot of progression regarding these characters. And I was just like, oh my gosh. This character Welfin. I mean, if you've been watching my reviews, you'll see months back I was making fun of him. I was laughing. I was like, this guy's pathetic. He's worthless. Just kill him off. And for Togashi to take this character and just really, little by little, the reason why he kept showing us him was that he was going to do something like this and make this defining moment where it's like, dude, you got fucking balls. And so much respect for this character. It was just like, I didn't give a shit about this character a few months back, a few weeks back for that matter. And this episode, I'm like, yo, Welfin for the motherfucking win. How do you do that? How do you take a side character and turn him from, like, fuck you to you're fucking amazing? So the beginning of this episode definitely gave a little bit more clarification for those that were confused. What's going on? Why does the king have blood coming down his nose? Why poof? What happened to Yuppie? And basically, it's the radiation from that bomb. That's all there is to it. You see that bomb went off or whatever in the flashback of basically when they were using those flower bombs. And what happened with Netero, basically, you know, he used that bomb on the king and then the radiation is soaking off of him. So if you put it together, that's pretty much, at the end of the day, if you look at it closely, Netero in the end really did win. Because first Yuppie fell out due to it, because, you know, he's been exposed to it. But then also, if you look at it, Poof is already sick, and the king, I believe, as well, has had blood coming down his nose. So at the end of the day, Netero really won. And that's another thing that this episode provides from the very beginning, is that if you look closely, they all basically fucked, and it's because of Netero. So that's a very interesting way to look at it, that I felt a few weeks back again, and this is what I like about series as they progress. You know, it's not all wrapped up, and that's why you can't completely judge the series until it's completely, you know, ran its course through its story. I felt like, oh wow, Netero's death almost felt like it was for nothing. It almost felt like he didn't do anything because the king came back. But ultimately, he pretty much single-handedly defeated at least 2 of the 3 royal guards and the king. Although it's still not confirmed that he's 100% dying, but I mean, based on what Palm said and from the radiation, you can assume so. At this point with this episode, you can see that the king has gone to this godlike level where pretty much you can't fuck with him. Like, his end was able to see everything in his surrounding and find Welfin at the drop of a hat and appear in front of him. So the king at this point, you can argue that he's hacks or whatever, but he's just ridiculously strong. That's the best way to put it. He's just phenomenally outstanding when it comes to just his power. Like, you can't fuck with him. And I think that a lot of the content prior to this is the reason why an episode like this can happen, because Welfin's character build-up throughout all those episodes where at first he was a bitch, scared of everything, like, oh, what am I doing? Should I do this? Why should I do this? Are they going to turn on me? All of that slow development, him speaking with Ikago, him realizing his past, a lot of that slow progression is why this episode has so much impact, and why, even though it's just them standing there for, like, you know, 20 minutes and him just shitting bricks, like, what do I do? Ultimately, the reason why he was able to do that was because of all that built-up character development, to the point where he built up where he's like, you know what? I'm a strong guy, and everything that's happened, I gotta think real quick. And it was a lucky fuck that he, you know, if he would have said anything else, if he would have said, like, I love sugar, he would have been blown to fucking bits by Meruem. So the fact that those words, or that word in particular, that name, Komugi, came out of his mouth, saved his fucking ass. Like, any other thing, if he would have said, like, you're awesome, bam, done, blown to bits. And when he said Komugi, it was just like, the king, like, the answer he's been searching for all this time. And at the same time, it also puts an end to this little game of Poof trying to hold it in. And the exaggerated expression coming from Welfin, getting like 100 years old mentally, to the point where his hair fell off and he looked at old as fuck. While this episode had depth, I was at the same time laughing. I couldn't help but laugh, because this situation Welfin is in, first of all, his reactions and his facial expressions are fucking hilarious. But then when he just looks like an old dog, he looked like fucking Tom from Tom and Jerry or something. I was just like, it's so fucking funny, but at the same time, it's also serious. So it's like, it's hard to balance the two. So I'm like, they're laughing, but at the same time, like, what's gonna happen, because it's so fucking tense. And even after the king pardoned him, I like how Welfin still stood up for what he believed in, and everything just came full forward regarding everything that we had with him. And it made a lot of those past events meaningful, and it made a lot of those events where I was like, oh, fucking hell, you know, what's going on? I don't care right now about Welfin. meaningful because that character development added to the point where he was able to scream out, Jaido is the true king, you're not the king, you know, him just going crazy there. That was basically all of that adding up, and I just really felt like it was very important. And overall, even though it's a character like Welfin, it was a very good episode because it just showed character development for him. And a big thing is character development for Meruem, because I think Netero made a mistake, and it wasn't the mistake of fighting, because at the end of the day, again, if you see, you know, pretty much they're dying left and right. I think the biggest mistake he made was that he immediately put all his chips down that the king, at the end of the day, regardless of how he may seem, he's an ant. That ant side is not going to go away. I have to get rid of him. I think had Netero thought a little bit more of this through, maybe he could have saved something. Maybe things could have ended up a little bit different, because he just completely said, no, this is not a human. This is an animal. This is an ant. We have to kill him. He is evil. But if you look in this episode, it seems as though he pretty much chose his humanity. So in the end, you got to ask yourself, did Netero make the right decision to go after him on a full-on confrontational assault and take them out using those methods? Could he have done things a different way? That's definitely something that stays in the back of your mind. And ultimately, it was a very good episode. I'm giving this bad boy 8.5 out of 10. It was just very good, seeing the progression and the way it was done and handled. It was just like, oh, it's so intense, so funny, and just overall, it was a damn good episode. It's like, you have a lot of things going on, but then at the same time, it feels like nothing's going on, because it's just them standing there and him questioning everybody. Like Meruem's like, you know, what's you doing? What are you doing? So overall, again, very good episode, 8.5 out of 10. I was just like, damn, how do you make me care about Welfin? Welfin! But let me know what you thought of this episode. What did you think regarding Welfin? Do you think that it was a lucky break that he said Komugi? How do you think it was handled? And just how do you feel about the whole situation in general, the way things turned out regarding seemingly that the ants are basically poisoned via that bomb? Like, do you feel like in the end Netero indeed won? And how do you feel regarding him not taking those measures to maybe talk it out with Meruem instead of immediately going into a fight? Do you feel like that was a mistake on his part, or he was right to be cautious? Because at the end of the day, at the end of this episode, Meruem did decide, you know what, I really care for this girl, and I'm going towards her, and this is the most important thing to me. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, you can do so as well. That'd be awesome. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.